Let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Jaramillo. I'm Director of Education Initiatives for the San Diego Foundation. Welcome, and thank you to all of you for joining us for this Grant Seekers Forum for San Diego Unified's Level Up SD Grants Program that will make funding available for nonprofit, community-based organizations serving the students of San Diego Unified. Special thanks and welcome to our colleagues joining us today from San Diego Unified. We're honored to be joined today by Teresa Viles, Operations Specialist for the Extended Learning Department of San Diego Unified. I'm also joined today by my colleagues, Vanessa Byrne, who's a Lead Expanded Learning Analyst for the San Diego Foundation, and Jenny Kirch, Communications Manager for the San Diego Foundation. And also on the line with us is our expanded learning team. Welcome to everyone. The San Diego Foundation is so honored to partner with San Diego Unified on this incredible program, to partner also with our region's amazing nonprofit organizations to make possible another summer of learning and joy for San Diego Unified students. Next slide, please. So just before we hear from our partners today, a little bit of logistical information. Your audio is turned off for this session, but we have activated the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. And you can click on Ask a Question when you have a question. We'll be reserving a Q&A period for the end of the program, but you can use this function to ask a question whenever a question pops up for you. At the end, we will aim to answer all of the questions that you have that we can answer at this moment in time. We may need to loop back to you after a particular question, or if your question is really specific to your proposal and your organization, we may ask that we carry a conversation offline so that we have an opportunity to address the question that you have individually. You will also see that we have enabled the chat function. And what we would love for you to do now is to let us know who's in the room with us. So use the chat function, but be sure to send your message to all participants and share your name, the name of your organization, and a quick few-word description of the program that you are intending to propose for Level Up funding so that we can all see and enjoy the amazing program ideas that are in the room today. And so with that, I will turn it over now to Teresa Viles, Operations Specialist, Extended Learning Department for San Diego Unified, who will share with you a few words on behalf of San Diego Unified.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everyone. San Diego Unified is not only grateful, but appreciates the continued partnership with San Diego Foundation and each of your organizations to bring extended learning opportunities to our students this summer. This summer, San Diego Unified will offer extended learning in the morning to 93 school sites for a period of 4 hours. And we would like to partner with your organization. I'm sorry, I got my view here. I apologize. Like I said, this summer we're going to be offering our morning program to 93 schools for a window of 4 hours, and we would like to partner with your organizations to extend learning to all of our students at these sites, and as well as provide other extended learning opportunities to our students. The Extended Learning Department works in partnership with the San Diego Foundation to bring your organization programs to sites and students across the district. Through the next coming months into the summer, our team will be here to guide, support, and partnership. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Teresa. Next slide, Jenny, please. It's been such an honor to work with you and your team and all the folks at the district that had such tremendous vision and leadership in designing this opportunity for your students, particularly in the moment in time that we are in. that is so challenging for our young people and their families and our communities. So we are deeply grateful for the opportunity to work with you and to work with our nonprofit organizations to make this extraordinary program a possibility yet again for a second year. So thank you, Teresa, and all of the teammates at San Diego Unified.
Thank you.
So what we'll do now is do an overview of the grant program. We're also going to take a look at the application and then answer your questions at the end of our presentation. So a little bit about the program goals. The goal of Level Up SD grant program is to fund nonprofit organizations that are offering summer enrichment programs at no cost to San Diego Unified students enrolled in the academic year of 22-23. Grants are intended to support your organization and the unique programs that you are offering specifically for San Diego Unified students. And they'll fund an array of programs that you offer, including programs that accelerate learning, that support student social emotional growth and well-being, build skills and knowledge, and very importantly, promote a sense of hope, a sense of belonging and healing and connection to one another and to their school sites. And build anticipation for the upcoming academic year. Just like last summer, this year we are in need to get kids engaged and excited about all of the opportunities ahead for them. Next slide, please. We'll take a look now at the strategies that the grant program will seek to support. And these include supporting student learning and academic outcomes and supports, including with a focus on math and literacy, preparing students for post-secondary success and career pathways, providing students opportunities for social emotional well-being. Next slide. Fostering the renewal and the cultivation of peer relationships and supports, activating our region's incredible communities and natural resources as sites of learning and discovery, exposing young people to a diversity of mentors and role models and career pathways. Next slide. And also celebrating their talent and providing them opportunities for creative youth development. Offering opportunities for engaging in sports and other physical and fitness activities, and providing culturally affirming spaces for students of diverse backgrounds. And also connecting families and communities to these learning experiences. Next slide, please. As a registrant, you will be added to our interest list, and this is the list that we use to send you any announcements related to this grant program. So please do add summer learning at sdfoundation.org to your safe senders list so that you can be assured of receiving any notices and updates. Please be sure to review the guidelines thoroughly and the FAQ documents, which we will continuously update with questions we are receiving as we go, and refer to these often and before submitting your application. Both items can be found at sdfoundation.org/level-up. And as a direct follow-up to your participation in this webinar, we will send you an updated FAQ guidelines and a copy of the slides and a link to the recording. Do keep in mind that only applications received through the online portal that you can access at sdfoundation.org/level-up will be considered for funding. And we'll tell you a little bit more about how you can access that site in a coming section of this forum today. We are excited to answer your questions and to work through all of the questions and ideas that you have for your proposal. We have a team of analysts that are ready and available to answer any questions that you may have as they come up and throughout the awarding process. So do reach out to any team member from our expanded learning team. And you can also write directly to summerlearning@sdfoundation.org with any questions and assistance that you might need. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the funding opportunity. There are approximately $14 million of funds available for this grant program, and grants will typically range from $25,000 to $500,000 per grant. That's not a strict floor and ceiling, but a likely range for the vast majority of the grants that will be awarded. We heard a little bit about the summer experience from our district colleagues. Just as a reminder, the district will be holding morning instructional opportunities at approximately 93 school sites across the district. And for elementary school students and middle school students, the summer experience morning session will be offered at these local school sites from June 21 to July 22nd. For high school students, the morning experience will occur from June 21 to July 29. And this is, these are important dates to keep in mind as we go, and we'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. The intent of this grant program is to align as closely as possible to San Diego Unified's summer experience offerings for students and provide students a robust and high-touch, consistent, meaningful program that offers both students and their families a full-day experience wherever possible. So this is often what we refer to as a seamless connection to the summer experience, which means organizations that are offering exceptional programming half-day directly on a participating school site, a school site that's offering morning instruction, or through a half-day program through the end of July, those July dates, or an organization offering full-day experiences in the month of August, or a combination of both. It also could mean an organization that's offering either a half-day or a half-day experience in the month of June and July that has a plan for transportation from a school site to their program site. So keep an eye out for the transportation plans and costs that you would need to budget for to make your program a seamless experience. And in terms of duration of programs, while not exclusively, we will be looking for organizations that can offer at minimum a 2 or 3 week experience, a daily 2 or 3 week experience of either half a day or full day. Or if your summer camp offering is a 1 week offering, that 1 week offering be an offering that a student can apply to and register more than one time so that they can potentially, if space is available, participate for weeks at a time throughout the summer. And regardless of the category that you'll be proposing, do be prepared in your application to specifically state how many unique students will be served by your program, how many hours of programming each student should receive, and the total number of contact hours offered by the organization for the proposed program. Next slide, please. A little bit about eligibility. The grant program is open to 501c3 organizations established here in San Diego County with an established presence in San Diego County. If you are not a 501c3 organization, but have a partnership, a fiscal sponsored partnership with a 501c3, that 501c3 may apply on your behalf. Other eligible organizations to propose programs are municipalities, post-secondary institutions, and also organizations that support school activities, such as a school foundation or a PTA, another 501c3 that is aligned and serves a particular school. To be eligible, you will be asked to affirm that you are able to and commit to collecting and tracking the data that is part of our reporting requirements, that you can fully complete your program by August 26th, and that you can develop or deliver this program at no additional costs to San Diego Unified students. We've received lots of inquiries about charter schools and whether charter school students are eligible to be served by the funding related to this program. And so please take note that Level Up SD funded programs is open only to San Diego Unified students with a valid San Diego Unified student ID number who are enrolled in K through 12 in the academic year 22-23. Students of charter schools that are authorized by San Diego Unified or students from other districts are not eligible for Level Up SD programs and cannot count against funded student spots through this program. And just a further note on the no cost, a goal of the program is to reduce barriers to families and communities that have little to no access to this programming, in particularly low-income families and underserved communities. So grants are intended to expand these spots and the availability and the ready availability of these programs to students. And so therefore, we are not able to permit additional deposits or fees be associated with the programs funded by this opportunity. Next slide, please. Proposals are reviewed and scored by internal external reviewers with considerable expertise in youth serving, youth development, and education related fields. And they will assess proposals on the following criteria. The background and organizational track record of the organization, their record in serving youth in San Diego, in particular organizations serving youth from underserved communities and low-income households. Your program delivery and design, including prioritizing in-person delivery, prioritizing robust, continuous in-person program design, such as the camp-like experience that we've spoken to in a previous slide. The extent to which the program can create a seamless experience for San Diego Unified students. How the curriculum connects to core curriculum and supports learning outcomes. The unique nature of the program proposed and how this program offers an extraordinary, out of the usual experience for students, an experience that students may not otherwise be able to access, and the ability of the program to offer culturally affirming spaces of learning that promote belonging and social emotional well-being and community and connectivity. Your proposal will also be assessed based on your budget. We'll be looking for a detailed and a thorough budget and a reasonable budget commensurate with the program proposed. Strong staff qualifications in designing and implementing enrichment programs, including one point of review for our reviewers is whether the staff is reflective of the students served, whether the staff is connected to the lived experience and can connect to students based on their lived experience. Program design that align with the strategies that we listed above. Good staff to student ratios, and we'll share some additional resources where you can learn more about that in just a moment. And experience in forging collaboration with schools and teachers for enriched curriculum programming. Next slide, please. In particular, we'll take note of any organizations that can speak to their ongoing practice in delivering culturally relevant and culturally affirming spaces of learning, in any opportunities that programs have to offer a language other than English, in particular in Spanish, and the ability or willingness of any organization to explore this funding opportunity to adapt or expand current programming that serves unique student populations, such as English language learners, students with disabilities, students experiencing homelessness, students from the LGBTQ+ community, students who are receiving family welfare assistance and supports, students from foster care or in family strengthening services. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we want to share just a couple of helpful resources that you can consult as you're developing your summer design, your summer learning program design. The Partnership for Children and Youth have incredible resources, including a recorded webinar series called Summer Game Plan, Planning Webinars for Educators and Community Partners on Summer Learning Design. Do check them out at partnershipforchildren.org/summer game plan. The Wallace Foundation also offers a summer learning toolkit full of tools and templates and other resources for designing and executing a summer program. So you can learn more at wallacefoundation.org. There are also organizations like the After School Alliance and the National Summer Learning Association that offer several really helpful resources for your planning purposes. And I'd love, actually, I know that that's just a very short list, but I'd really encourage all of you to, if you have other resources that you rely on for your program planning that you'd like to share with your peers, please plug them into the chat. Next slide, please. And finally, just before we get to the application, we want to review a very important part of the grant guidelines for this particular program. And that is other requirements that awarded organizations will be asked to affirm that they can meet minimum operating standards to deliver a program to San Diego Unified students. Your organizations will be asked to attest that all of the permanent or temporary staff and personnel that come into contact with San Diego Unified students have provided a certificate of clearance for TB. You'll also be asked to affirm that background checks and security clearance measures are conducted in order to assure that all employees are, whether they are an employee, a volunteer, or independent contractor that are directly related to this program and performing services on San Diego Unified campus or in contact with San Diego Unified students have not been convicted of a violent crime, of a violent or serious felony. You'll be asked to affirm and agree to abiding by all COVID-19 protocols, San Diego Unified COVID-19 protocols as they relate to vaccination, masking, testing, and other requirements. You'll be asked to affirm that you are able to complete attendance records, daily attendance records for all of the students that are participating in the program, and that you can submit those attendance records to San Diego Unified at the completion of your program. And then very importantly, you'll be asked to affirm that you abide by the requirements around providing special accommodations to students. San Diego Unified is committed to ensuring that all students have access and can experience expanded learning programs supported by this grant program. And ensuring that programs are accessible to all students is also a legal imperative of all of the stakeholders involved in this programming. So awarded organizations are required to provide accommodations within their means to students with special needs. That includes students with individualized education plans and 504 plans and other needs. And in the case that your organization does not have the capacity, the current capacity, to provide the student what they need in order to fully participate in their program, that you'll work with San Diego Unified District Resources to secure those supports needed when the accommodation is beyond the organization's capacity. All awarded organizations will be required to attend a workshop with district representatives to learn more about the process around special accommodations and what supports are available to you. And then finally, summer registration. We had lots of feedback on the registration process that was created for last summer, created on a very short timeline. Everyone fully understood. And so this summer, we're really glad to be looking at an option for a new universal registration system that would streamline the registration process for both families and for nonprofit partners. This tool is in development, and it'll provide students and their parents and caregivers a single platform for a one-stop shop registration. And it will also allow for students to be registered with a uniform universal waiver to finalize their registration in one single step. It's important to note that only students that are registered through this registration portal, this universal registration portal, can count towards the funding allowed for this program. Next slide, please. And with that, I am very pleased to pass it on to my colleague, Vanessa Byrne, who will share with us more about the application process.
Thank you, Michelle. So to begin with, you will be accessing the application portal at the listed URL. We have a link to this as well as step-by-step instructions on how to access this new portal and the application at sdfoundation.org/levelup. Once you get to the registration page, you will put in a request to create a profile. Once that is submitted, the San Diego Foundation on our end will be able to approve or enable your profile, and you can proceed to starting your application once that profile has been enabled. You will not be able to fill out the application until you have received that email confirming. Now within the application, to start us off for the first 2 pages, you will be entering name of organization, EIN, address of the organization, as well as your website. We ask for contacts, primary contact, which will be the individual that we will contact for questions regarding the application, a signatory contact, which will be the individual signing the grant agreement, and a program contact, which will be the individual to contact regarding the program. You will also include here a fiscal sponsor if that is applicable for your application. Entering your current year operating expense total, as well as uploading an annual operating budget. We will ask for background and history of the organization and ask you to confirm a grant guidelines compliance. You will also be sharing if your organization has any existing San Diego Unified partnerships within this page. Thank you, Jenny. For page 3, we will be covering the program budget. So please include all proposed programs into one budget that will be uploaded. You'll be using the provided template. There is a link within the question, and you will be opening up a download only version of a template, which is shown here on the screen. You will provide your anticipated expenses for personnel, facilities, food and beverage, transportation, program instructional costs, equipment, and administrative or indirect costs. In the line items labeled Other, you will want to indicate any unique budget line items that are not included in those above. Other line items may include stipends or payments to partner organizations helping to deliver a portion of your program. You will use the notes column to specify the units and cost per unit reflected in the cost for that line item. For the budget narrative, which will be within the application, you will describe and provide as much specific detail as possible to help us understand how funding will be used. In both the budget narrative and the note section, you'll want to provide details on how you come to the total cost of these line items. For example, the number, I'm repeating myself, but the number of units and cost per unit. Stipends for internships are permissible if they are a critical component to your program model and impact and reflective of the student's work. Be sure to elaborate on this point as well in the budget narrative section. For indirect or general operating costs, those are also permissible, and there are no minimum or maximums on the indirect costs or for administrative general operating costs. We encourage applicants to submit a budget that reflects reasonable costs that allows the organization to deliver the program effectively while achieving an optimal cost per student. The program does not fund endowments, existing obligations or debt, scholarships, financial aid for post-secondary, singular events such as one-time workshops or projects that promote religious or political doctrines. Within this page, you will also upload a sample of your organization's current certificate of insurance. Next slide. Thank you, Jenny. On page 4, we move into your program information, and you will be provided 5 program pages. To distinguish whether you need a new program page when entering in this information, you can base this off of the program description. If it differs, then you will need to create a new program page. So within one program page, you will enter program name, the brief description, which should not surpass 150 words. And this is also meant to be used for marketing purposes if funded. So be sure to write this paragraph as if speaking to families and students. For type of program, you will select half-day, full-day, combination, or other. And then you will also select a primary and secondary focus of the program. In your proposed curriculum question, you will describe the curriculum and activities the program will deliver, specifically in relation to the goal of the grant as stated in the grant guidelines. For your anticipated outcomes, this will be a summary of your expected outcomes, and we recommend this in bulleted form using SMART objectives, so specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We will also ask for staff qualifications and structure, student to staff ratio, target student population, and an area to more fully describe that target student population in a narrative question. You will provide minimum and maximum grade levels for the program that you're filling this all out for, as well as COVID-19 safety, food, accessibility, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and collaborations. In regards to collaborations, organizations can collaborate to create a program, but when applying, there will need to be one main organization that receives the funds and is the main contact for the program. So an organization can only apply as the lead applicant or lead organization and contact on one application, but you can be mentioned as a partner or collaborator for more than one. Within each program form, there are 4 sections. The sections provide information on when and where this program will be offered. If awarded, section information would be translated to create a registration form. So within these sections, you will explain student count, which is the count for unique, non-duplicated students within this one section. You will also provide total contact hours per student for this section, the start and end dates, and a reminder that if you are hosting on a San Diego Unified School site, programs will need to finish by July 22nd on elementary and middle schools and July 29th on high schools. Programs hosted on non-school sites can finish as late as August 26th. You will also select the days per week and the start and end times. We do not currently have the bell times for morning lessons if looking to create that seamless experience, but we will update the Google Sheet that contains the summer learning sites, also linked within the question, as soon as we have these. For the location of the section, there will be 3 location options to choose from. You have off-school site, open to a school site, but need to be matched, or San Diego Unified School site location. If you are open to any school site, you will get a further question asking of any criteria or areas that you are looking to hold your program at. And then for San Diego Unified School location, if you know the school site where you would prefer to offer your program, then you'll indicate your first and second choice based on a drop-down list. And if your program requires use of a field, please know only elementary schools will be available for field use. Something to note, Facilitron, if you have not heard of the site yet, this is the system that San Diego Unified uses to coordinate rentals, approve permits for school site use, and collect payment for school site reservations. So if your organization is approved for funding, you will be asked to create your Facilitron account and furnish your payment on that system. This is also the system where you will furnish your certificate of insurance. So this is a screenshot of the Excel sheet that is shared within the application, and this provides all of the school sites where there will be morning lessons offered and possible rentals to hold your programs. We want to share a specific note about food and transportation. Last summer, the district was able to provide some food and transportation resources. The district is working currently to determine what types of food and transportation district resources may be available to nonprofit organizations for this coming summer. For the purposes of planning your request, please plan and budget for all the transportation and food resources for your program needs. Should district resources be available, we will direct you towards these closer to the start of the programs in May and June and provide more information then. The last page of the application is going to be, for the sections that I just finished up, they ask for transportation and a section narrative. Within that section narrative question, you are able to describe anything that may not fit into the questions previously asked. So if days are changing within weeks or things like that, then that is where you would put those exceptions. You will be offered 4 sections within each program page. If you reach the end of the program page and need more sections, you may use the following program pages. Just be sure to indicate that the following sections are for the same program. And this way you won't need to re-enter all of the same program information. Now getting to the last page, there are 2 auto-populated questions. We have the total student count for the grant and the total student hours across all sections. For the total student count for the grant, all student counts from each section will be added up to make this total. If the number you are seeing doesn't match your records, please review your entries in each of the sections. And next slide, I will be passing it back to Michelle.
Vanessa. Okay, so for those of you that were valiant participants of Summer of Learning and Joy Level Up Summer 21, the following timeline I hope is something that you feel excited about. we together hosted an extraordinary experience for summer 21 at a very with a very short planning runway. And so this summer are lucky to have something that's a little bit more amenable to the planning process that you all are undertaking. So we are today at the Grant Seekers Forum. Final deadline to apply is February 18. Please note that the deadline to apply is noon on Friday, February 18. Not end of day, but noon. March 21 is when we will begin to roll out the funding announcements for summer 22. On the 24th, we'll have an orientation for awarded organizations to get you the most up-to-date information on policies and what you can expect from the summer experience as details are refined as we go. June 20 is when your programs can begin your programming. Your organizations can begin your programming, whether they are on school sites or off school sites. June 20 is your program start date. You obviously may submit a proposal for a program starting after June 20, but June 20 is the earliest that they can start. By July 22, the programs that are taking place on elementary and middle school sites, school campus sites will have to conclude. And then for high school sites, that program conclusion has to happen by July 29. And then all off-site summer programs that are taking place in beyond July and into the August month would have to end by August 26. And then next slide, please. And a note on final reporting, our final reports would be due October 7th, 2022. Organizations will be required to submit one final report, sharing all the outcomes and the impact of the program, and a template for that final report is provided as part of your grant agreement. The final portal, the structure where you would submit that final report, will be completed later on in the spring months and provided to you before you start your program. But you will receive a template, a draft template of what that reporting document requires you to report on. It will also include a final expenditure report detailing the expenses charged to your grant. And awarded organizations are asked and really required to keep all receipts and backup documentation on file should backup documentation of expenditures be required. But at this time, they are not required to be submitted as part of the financial expenditure report, just required to be kept on hand if any question does arise. Organizations are also, as we've mentioned, asked to comply with the daily attendance reports that are due to the district at the completion of your program. The district uses this data to understand the reach and the impact of this investment. So these attendance records are really critical for us to be able to ascertain how many students are supported, how they are impacted, and much, much more. And then finally, communications assets. Your grant agreement will outline some communications materials that we'll ask your organization to supply, whether they be quotes or stories or pictures, but especially the stories. We really want to capture the story of impact and how these programs change students' lives so that we can continue to tell this powerful story of investments in expanded and summer learning. And I think that we've come now to the end of our presentation, and we can now turn to question and answers period. If you have submitted a question, excuse me, via the chat, please do go back and copy and paste it and put it into the Q&A function. It can be really difficult to track the questions that are coming in through the chat. Much easier for us to track them in the Q&A. We're less likely to miss them. And as I mentioned previously, we are going to answer any question that we possibly can, that we have the time for and that we have the answer for at this moment in time, but capture all of the questions and their answers in an FAQ that will be made available to you if your organization is asking a question that's very particular to your program design. We may ask you to go offline and connect with us directly so that we can tackle the question that you have. So with that, let's start taking it away. Here we go. Okay. Is there a Word or Google Doc template for the application so we can work offline before inputting the final request? Yes, we can make that available to you. And we'll make that as part of the follow-up packet to today's session. I noticed that my saved application on TSDF site are not there, spring and summer level up. Is there something with the overall site or a personal issue? We can definitely follow up on that. If you had submitted for spring, the proposal is going through a different process and it may not be visible to you once it's starting to move through the queue. So we will look into that and get back to you on that question. Can we hold morning activities at the same time as the summer experience timeframes? You may submit an application for a program that is holding morning activities at the same time, but just know that in our process, in our review and prioritization process, we are looking for programs that offer a seamless experience to summer experience. It is not, but it is not prohibited. You can absolutely submit your proposal if your program calls for that design. How would TSDF like a collaboration effort to submit grant requests? Example, if student registers for a week-long camp and has multiple 501c3 organizations working together for the same exact set of students, can each organization apply or for their delivered portion of the camp, or does TSDF require a primary grantee with sub-grantees? I think we would encourage you to organize yourselves around a lead applicant. As Vanessa went over, your organization may appear in other proposals as a partner to a proposal, but can only appear as a lead applicant once. Organizing yourself as a lead applicant certainly will help us better understand the collectives, the nature of the program across the collective. So we can talk offline about this and would encourage you, Karen, to reach out to us to maybe break this down a little bit more. But a lead applicant with sub-grantees and partners is absolutely something that you can do. Just note that the lead applicant will be the organization that we have communications to and the only organization that would have reporting obligations. They would then need to coordinate the other sub-grantees to report. Can we offer a full day program when San Diego Unified Morning Program is in session? I think we've covered that. Programs are for students who are enrolled in 2022-23 school year. Does that mean that graduating seniors do not count? That is correct. Graduating seniors do not count. It's for students that are enrolled in the district as of the academic year 22-23. Staffing requirements. We understand that staffing requirements apply to all staff that have direct contact with Level Up participants. Teresa, perhaps this is one that you can handle. I understand that staffing requirements apply to all staff that have direct contact with Level Up participants. What about other staff working in the same facility? For example, if we have 4 camps running at one location, 1 for Level Up participants and 3 for other youth, would the staff assigned to the other non-level groups also need to meet the requirements for TB testing and COVID-19 vaccination? We may, I don't know if Teresa, you have a response now, or if we want to take this back and follow up with the the person asking the question. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes. If the staff member, I think, is going to be using the funds that we are providing, I think they need to comply with all the requirements as specified in the guidelines. That is, yeah, if we can bring it to Jen, but I think that's my belief.
Yeah. And we can follow up directly on this particular question again once we have full clarity on that. But I that would be my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Will the registration form be available in languages beyond English? Yes. We are. Well, I understand that we're making the registration form available in all the official languages of the district. Regarding overheads, overhead costs, what is reasonable for the nonprofit to include? Do you have a list of eligible costs or a percentage range? We do have a list of eligible costs built into the application, and we do not offer a percentage range. We ask the organization to list reasonable costs of overhead that are directly connected to their ability to offer a successful program. And that also optimize at the same time optimizing the number of students that can be served by the program. If we will be providing career pathway but not internships, are we okay to still select that as a program delivery option? Yes, absolutely. Career exposure programs may come with an internship component, or they may not. They may be more strictly mentorship or exploring different career options. So you have that flexibility. We are interested in offering a 4-credit option for high school students completing our program. Is that a possibility? And if so, what is the process for doing so? Absolutely a possibility. In terms of a process, if you could send a note to summer learning at sdfoundation.org, we can advise you. You will have access to a list of school sites where summer school will be held via the application. That's connected as a hyperlink to the application. For a high school sport and academic college preparedness program, is 1 hour virtual programming out of the program eligible to be part of the program? In-person programming is highly, highly favored. Of course, submit the proposal that is right for you and your organization and the students that you serve. And in very, very few cases, a virtual component or virtual design will be appropriate for the student population that you're seeking to serve. But far and away, for the most part, in-person and high touch, so multi-day, multi-hour programming will be highly favored in the review process and scoring process. And if you have any further questions about the particular design, reach out to Summer Learning and we can take a look at what your model is and advise you. Does the 501c3 need to have a track record or history? Again, this is one of the cases where, you know, any organization that is eligible to submit should submit. In the reviewing and scoring process, though, we are taking into account the track record that an organization can demonstrate, right? The demonstrated work and history of work with young people and or the demonstrated track record in that particular content area. So this is something that is highly favored in the review process. But if you have a particular question about what, whether the history of your organization constitutes a track record, of course, reach out to us and we can answer that specifically. For an esports curriculum, does San Diego Unified location have a game room with workstations that we can use rather than coming to our location? We can look into that. That is something that we can look into. So a game room with workstations. With the new platform, do all orgs need to re-register? No. Once you're registered in the San Diego Foundation's portal, you do not need to re-register. You'll just need to look for this particular grant opportunity and create your, start to create the proposal. Let's see. We have a following question from an organization with 20-year experience developing a leadership program. And I think this question is also related to the track record question, and we will follow back up with you offline related to that, Lisa. Thank you. We have lots of questions about the track record, so we will follow back up with folks on that. How many hours of programming per day equals a full day for elementary and middle school? Is it five? Teresa, is it, are you able to answer this?
So we are offering the 4 hours for our students, and most of the elementary schools are 9 to 1. I believe. So a full day probably will be considered 8 hours.
Do we have to feed students district breakfast or lunch, or can we bring in outside food? We will have further guidance for you on the food question. If you are bringing in outside food, there are particular guidelines and requirements that you would abide by. The district is also in the efforts right now to try to determine what food resources would be facilitated to programs, on-site, off-site. So we will be following back up with food. We advise groups to plan to pay for food. If we're able to connect the resources from the district, then that could be a savings that you would report on your grant expenditure, but plan to make those purchases and submit your proposal with a full budget, entertaining all of the related expenses. We have many questions still in the queue, but we have come to the end of our time. We are taking all of these questions and will further develop the Q&A document and send that document to you with a link to this recording and slide deck. And in the meantime, if there are any really pressing questions that you need an immediate response to before the FAQ comes out, do reach out to us. But otherwise, do be on the lookout within the next couple of days, certainly by the end of this week, with the FAQ arriving and a recording link. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're really excited. I'm looking at the chat of all of the amazing programs that are in the works. We are so excited to see that. And thank you all for your participation and your attention today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.